Thanks for staying with us. We are live on our social media platforms at Joy Prime TV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So inflation is on the rise again. Latest figures from the Ghana Statistical Service for the month of July puts our inflation rate at 9%. And according to the government statistician, Professor Kwabena Enim, it has been triggered by rising cost of food. Here's more in this report.
More than a year, the Greater Accra region has been recording very high rate of inflation for both food and non-food inflation. However, it was overtaken by the Upper West region, which recorded the highest inflation rate of 13.5%, greater than the national average. Government statistician Professor Samuel Enim has been explaining to journalists in a press conference.
In Upper West region, we find food and non-alcoholic beverages having the highest percentage in terms of inflation for the month of July 2021 at 20.3%. Followed by alcoholic beverages, tobacco and narcotics 13.5%, keeping in mind that food and non-alcoholic beverages always have the highest weight relative to the other components. From the perspective of Northern region, strictly looking at food inflation, as it stood at 20.5% for the month of July 2021, we find cereal products and vegetables leading with the highest inflation rates, respectively 34.9% and 30.0%. And indeed, it is these two domains that have the highest weights, respectively 5.6 and 5.0. Highlights of July 2021, Consumer Price Index and inflation for the month of July 2021. Year-on-year inflation for the month of July 2021, referencing July 2020, stood at 9.0%, indicates that prices of goods and services over the one-year period, July 2020 and July 2021, have gone up by 9.0%.
The rate for locally produced items also keep increasing at a faster rate than imported items in the last few months.
Inflation for locally produced items inched up by 0.9% in the month of June 2021 and has further widened for the month of July 2021, with locally produced items standing at 9.4% and imported items standing at 7.1%, indicating a 2.3 percentage difference between locally produced items and imported items. From a regional perspective, for the first time in 16 months from an overall inflation point of view, we see two regions surpassing the successive lead of Greater Accra that we've recorded since April 2020, with Upper West taking the lead of 13.8%, closely followed by Northern region 13.5%. Next is Greater Accra region 11.7%, and as was indicated, this is the first time we see the lead for Greater Accra being halted by Upper West region and Northern region.
The Eastern region, however, recorded the lowest inflation rate of 3% for the period.
And it's remarkable to note that the Upper West region has overtaken the Greater Accra region as the region with the highest inflation of 13.8%. While Organised Labour has been speaking about the rising cost of living right now and asking government to address that challenge immediately. Here's more from an event organized to review the mid-year budget presentation by the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta.
The event, heavily attended by members of Organised Labour, Dr. Yalban said, analyzing from inflation and exchange rate perspective, workers' real incomes based on the minimum wage have taken a nosedive. He said job losses, reduced pay and wage awards below inflation have occasioned suffering. He therefore urged government to support the citizens to reduce the suffering.
Real wage for public sector workers has started declining, and it is not right. We should make sure that the single spine is designed to ensure that real wages actually increase, but not decline. And I think we have people and expertise in this country to be able to do it, to ensure that even negotiation can be tied to it. We work out the real wages and see if the real wage from one year to the other is declining, government adjusts pay such that real wage will not decline.
Dr. Yalban also called for a reform of the Bank of Ghana to strengthen its regulation in order to prevent bank failures in the future. Organised Labour is unhappy that 22 billion cedis was spent to clean up the banking sector, but the situation that triggered the collapse of the banks have not been addressed.
If you are using 22 billion to clean the banks, this is expensive. There are very few things that cost that much. And if a reform should cost 22 billion, it means that we have really spent money on this. And what we are saying here is this, that if you look at how much money we have spent to make sure the banks are clean, we should never make a mistake of going back to that state again. Therefore, the Bank of Ghana itself must have to be reformed.
Organized Labour is made up of several workers' unions, including Local Government Workers' Union, Health Services Workers' Union, Public Services Union, and Ghana Mine Workers.
Our final story this morning, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has pointed out that government will withdraw almost $1 billion from the IMF to support the economy amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the IMF is making available $650 billion for member countries to fight the pandemic. Now, the Finance Minister has been speaking to Joy Business about where the monies will be advanced to.
With regards to the stability we have here, where the currency is, where inflation is, and then the strength of the banks as predating 2017. But those are hard and courageous decisions that the President encouraged us to do, and the Bank of Ghana has been very strong in enforcing that. So I think the bad old days are gone, and we have a much more sanitized system which will protect, the clients in a good way and not waste the country's resources.
You talked about the National Development Bank in your presentation, right? And all of that things being equal, are we looking at somewhere in October that it will quickly start?
I imagine. I hope we can do it. We have now sent the final list of the board to the Bank of Ghana, so we hope to get approval. We have selected the first CEO, so he will be 24/7 from now, and we expect therefore for an efficient execution of that.
When are we finally hoping that the government take a decision on how to use the special drawing rights from the fund?
The board approved of the fund, and on the 23rd of August, I think automatic disbursement to member countries of 100% of their quota will be effected. And then we would work on parameters such as immediate COVID-related needs, and also looking at a medium-term program to see areas that are important where the nexus between finance and health meet. It could be, housing. It could be, of course, employment, which is key to us, and a number of other areas such as digitalization, to make sure that it is used well, and leverage to support, the bottom.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta there. That's Talking Business this morning. You can always catch up on all the business news on myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Darrell Kwao.